Hey, good morning. Remember me? I'm Jeremy. Welcome to Jeremy's Journey. One of the big things about my van conversion that I really wanted to get done, which I was fortunate to do before I left for tree planting, was my solar array. It definitely took a lot of learning. I only had a very small amount, like just a little bit of experience. I installed a solar panel and a couple old car batteries and old inverter that I got at cheap on a tent trailer, and that was my experience with solar. So fortunately I had a little bit of money from taxes come in at the beginning of April, and I was able to do a last minute order through Renogy and do a 200 watt setup with 100 amp hour battery. And yeah, this is it. I did the build in early April, so it's still cold in Edmonton in early April. It was probably hovering around 5 degrees or colder. Right now it's 32 degrees, I think, 2 months later, or more than 2 months later. And but yeah, check out the video, and I hope you can get something out of it. Maybe they'll help you with your build. If you do have any questions about the build, leave me a comment below, and I'll do the best to answer any of those. And I'll also include some links and stuff on the stuff that I installed, and I'll do up a drawing as well of the layout that I did for all my components, just so you can see how it all interacts and everything. One thing I did is, the van comes with 2 of these bars. I went to the scrapyard, and for $35 I picked up another pair. So I've got 4 now. I got here, 2, 3, 4. And that is because I want to put a roof bin right here, and then my solar panel right here, and I want to be able to support it all properly. So I'm gonna set it up and see how it all fits. My plan is underneath here is where the wires are going to go through the ceiling. So I want to have the back edge of this panel supported right here, and I'll have my tilt bracket go up here. And then on this end, same thing. I've got one of the roof rack bars right here, and I can mount the tilt bracket right to that. So I'm hoping that's going to work. So the reason this needs to be right over top of the support is, 1, this dips down in the middle, and then 2 is where these metal plates with the holes are, is where the mounting brackets go. So there's these that go on the bottom side of the support, come up through those holes, and then these guys get screwed on to wherever they need to be. There's 4 different holes, so you can do different layouts and stuff. So I just have to figure that out and bolt them down, and I'll be good to go. I had to get creative with the solar panel mounting brackets. Cut these little grooves into the, I put 2 little grooves in, and I had some 1-inch aluminum flat stock, which fits through these grooves now. I really didn't want to screw through my roof rack. I think it would lessen the integrity of or the strength of the roof rack. So I had to come up with something else. That's what this is. I'm not going to tighten these down yet because I want to get all of them put in and make sure my solar panel is going to sit in place just properly. Also on this end, I made sure it sat on top of the other rail. The rail that goes front to back, so it can just have a little bit more support. The solar panel is going to be anchored right here, and it's going to hinge up right here. So I figured have all the load down on this, not out here. I cut this back a little bit too, so. Here's what I have. I got the solar panel mounting bracket with the grooves I cut into it. The 1-inch flat stock, I think it's 1 inch by 1/8 inch, piece top and bottom, 1.5 inches by 1/4 inch bolt on each side, with a washer and a lock nut on the bottom, or a Teflon nut on the bottom. I got one there and one there. And the reason I chose those spots is because the roof rack has a small camber in it, and it's also going to be sitting up here, so there is going to be a bit of a gap here, but I didn't want to put one here and either bend this or bend this. So at both of these points, the bar is actually touching the roof rack. So I figured that would be the best spot to put it. Here's the temporary install of the solar panel. My little clips tighten down really well. An awkward thing is putting these bolts in the back. Every time I want to stand it up or whatever, I gotta undo those, but I gotta reach around in there to try to get it out and put it back in. Back end one's not so bad, but this one is. Now we gotta do the wiring. Get that, put a hole in there and get that all good. This morning I'm gonna install the housing for the cables to go through. I've already sketched out the drill holes, and I picked up some grommets to go into the steel, and I have the butyl tape that's going to go around the perimeter of it before I stick it down. So I'll just go over how I'm going to install it. This is the back of the van. I was planning on installing it this way and underneath the panel, but the spot I have in the back, you'll end up bringing my cables down inside my living quarters instead of in the electrical bay. It would have been actually ideal to put all this stuff in before I did all the finishing on the van, but I didn't have any of these parts yet. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. But I've decided that I'm actually going to turn it sideways like this. And then that way, when the wires come through, they're not doing a full 180 back into here. They're just doing a gradual 90 degree. I picked up these little rubber grommets. You can get them at Home Depot or wherever. And they're going to go into the holes that I drill through the steel to protect the sides of the cable from the. So I drew around the outside of the box, found the center inside the drawing, marked out where I want my 2 holes for my grommets, like that, and double checked underneath that they're not gonna go through anything. I need a 1/2 inch hole to put these in, but I need to do a pilot hole first because a 1/2 inch bit just walks all over the place. With these boxes, you need to put the nut on the inside. You can't spin the nut on the inside. There's that little piece in the middle, and it won't allow you to spin this nut. So you have to hold it on the inside with one finger. And let's get rid of the outside nut. Hold it on the inside like so, and you start threading it in. I don't think I can do it with these gloves. You only want to go hand tight. Don't use any tools on them, you'll break them. And this guy will go back on like that. Get my gloves because it is chilly. And this is going to go on just like that. So, before we seal it down, these wires need to go through. And I'm realizing 10-foot wires are definitely too long. I had different plans. I thought it was going to be up there, but it's going to go here. And I could have probably got a 4-foot wire, but that's okay. So we're going to want our MC4 end at this side, but we're going to need to feed it through here first. Down through the hole, You want to do both wires and everything before you seal it. Once you seal it, it's really hard to make that bend inside. This guy. Give her a nice clean. This is butyl tape. You can buy it also in like a caulking gun. I find it's a lot easier to work with when it's in a tape form. You can buy it at Home Depot or Rona or whatever. I think it's $5 to $10 for the whole roll. Don't buy it at an RV store. They charge you like $30 or $40 for the same roll. Just shop around the hardware stores. Somebody will have it. Just don't pay $40 for something that costs $5. She's still chilly as fun. And with the tape, I'm lining it up to the inside of the box because I'm still going to run a bead of white silicone around the perimeter of the box just as a second barrier. And you want to cover up all the screw holes as well. That's fine. So when you screw it down, just drill right through it. Once you get it on, you can kind of mold all the joints together. Okay. Stick her down. So this butyl tape always stays sticky. It never really dries, but it's not gooey. It just sticks like that. It doesn't leave residue or anything, but it's always sticky. But anyway, is after you get the screws in, take something and press down all the points. You're only going to do this a couple times. Make sure, like later today, once it warms up, I'm going to come out and press it down again. Try and squeeze it out anywhere you can, just to get a nice, flat, even surface. And then after you've squeezed it all out, there's going to be, like, I'll come back later today again, but there's little bits that squeeze out like this. Just take a knife or an edge very carefully so you're not digging into the paint, and take off any little pieces. I'm going to come back and do that later though, because I'm going to squish it down when it's warm. Here's our box with our MC4 cables coming out with the two ends, and this is the two ends for the panel. I'm not going to connect them right now, but they're all ready to go. I want to do the connection underneath here like that, but still leaves enough slack that when I stand the panel up, yeah, that it's not pulling on the cords. So all that's going to be done up underneath. Once I've got everything into position in that, I'm going to tighten these down until they pinch the sides of those wires just nice and snug. I don't want to do it yet because I might still make some adjustments. And then along the edge here, later on today, I'm going to run a bead of white silicone around the edge once it's warmed up and squished all the butyl tape out. Well, not squished it all out, but once it's all nice and flat, like, you can get rid of any squeeze out. Then on the inside, it's not so pretty. Kind of busted up my wood a bit, but I can't get a drill in to go vertical, so yeah, that looks ugly. I don't know what I'm going to do to clean that up, but you can't see it when you're standing. You got to actually go in the van, into that little space, and look up. These two guys are going to go into my charge controller, which I'm not sure yet. I'm hoping it might fit in that spot. And the good news is, it just came in. So Amazon just came by and dropped this off. And I'm hoping it's my charge controller. Let's find him. My charge controller. I've been waiting for this guy to come in forever. It's been about 3 weeks. Everything else came in 2 weeks ago, and this guy just took forever to come in. Let's see what we got. Oh, even sent some ends. That's the temperature controller, and they sent some ends actually. That's cool. I didn't know that. That is. That's a Cat 5 cable. I'll have to see where that's going to go. And this guy. This is the 50 amp DC to DC MPPT Renogy charge controller. And it doesn't look like much, but it's kind of the heart of the whole solar array. It makes everything work together. But that's going to be a fun install. Let's go see where it's going to fit though. So in our electronics bay, we got the battery is going to be down here, my charger, my inverter, and I've got a little fuse block up there. I really don't have much in here besides the heater and light. So yeah, and my plug-ins are plugged into my inverter. So this guy, I'm thinking maybe it should go here and I relocate that fuse panel somewhere else. It's not very big, so yeah, I'll have to see how the cables are going to route in for that, but I think that might be the spot.